Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Brandon Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I'm thrilled, humbled, honored, and grateful to have with me today my good friend, Scott Barker. Scott is the head of partnerships at Sales Hacker, and with the recent acquisition by Outreach, is currently their Sales Engagement Evangelist. Scott is also the head of Enterprise Salesforums Vancouver chapter and a board member of a great nonprofit called InterFit. Scott, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. It doesn't seem that long ago that the roles were reversed here. I was interviewing you for the Sales Engagement podcast, and it was an amazing episode, so thank you for that. I'm excited for it to drop. But now excited to be here, man, and ready to dive in.
Awesome. Well, I know you've been busy with the recent Sales Hacker Outreach.io acquisition, which is really exciting. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that. But the audience tunes into the show and the book for two main reasons. Number one, Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. If you had to go back in time to when you first started in selling, after everything you've learned throughout your whole career, what is your number one top sales secret to maximize sales? But before you share it, the audience is dying to know also, who is Scott Barker, man? Where are you from? How'd you get started in sales? And then let's go through all the places that you've worked in sales and everything that you've learned, successes, failures that have helped you level up, which we call micro secrets. And those micro secrets help you go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, which will lead us to the top sales secrets. So without further ado, I'd love to just get to know you and about how you got started in sales and where you're from.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So we'll definitely get to the top secrets, because I think I've had a few, and you can only really see them when you're looking back.
Right? Yeah.
That's it. When you're in the thick of it, you're like, oh man, like you don't even know what you're doing and why it's working and why it's not working. But being able to look back, I can definitely tease some common themes out. But I guess, like any good story, you start at the beginning. And when I think of when did I start selling, it's really like 7 or 8 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I used to act when I was a kid. I believe your sister is an actor.
Yeah. She's an actress at Netflix, Bravo, and just did a bunch of commercials with McDonald's. It's funny. I'm whole food, plant-powered vegan, so it kills me that she was on the McDonald's. But it's a good brand, man. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So then you know a little bit about the industry, then, I'm sure. And
it's brutal. That industry is worse than sales. I would say is the hardest, but acting is like harder than selling.
Yeah, totally. Well, because what it is selling without a product or a service. You're selling yourself, right? That's it. So it's like it's the hardest part of the whole thing. So, I remember as a kid, I would be going, you probably go to like 20 auditions before you get one callback. So right there, you like learn rejection from a really young age. And again, it's not rejection from, oh, I don't want to buy your product or your service. It's like, I don't want to buy you, so it's hard,
dude,
right?
It's hard.
It's hard.
I don't like how you look. I don't like your hair. I don't like your eyes. I don't like the color of your skin. That's tough.
Yeah, it was tough, but it definitely, it brought out that kind of resilience from a young age. And it was really like, okay, I'm going to prove these guys wrong kind of thing. And you walk into a room, just like you walk into a sales pitch, and there's 5 people there, and there's 5 or 6 people. They're just staring at you, and you either have like rehearsed lines, which like in a demo, you've got your go-to demo, but sometimes they're just like, all right, now dance. And like, that's like your objection, right? That's like when they take a weird like curveball, and you just got to do some weird things and really like think on your toes. And looking back, I think that experience really, really helped set me up for success, because I learned a lot of these things at a young age, and how to kind of mold and shape my personality based on the people that were in the room. So that was a big one. I basically did that.
Did you just always want to act? Like, how did you get, was your mom to parents like, hey, we got to get you into acting? Like, how'd you get?
Actually, my friend's mom just knew me and kind of knew my personality. And her friend was like a casting agent or something. She's like, you need to get this guy doing auditions. And so I kind of fell into it. And then I never really wanted to, but then I did it. I got a few. I got like Hot Wheels, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Ring
Hot
Pops,
Wheels.
some really
awesome,
funny,
man.
like marquee 90s brands. And yeah, you make fantastic money. So it was a good way to, have like college paid for and stuff. And so I kept at it till I was about 13. And then the agent I was with, she only represented kids. So I had to make a switch. And at that time, I'm in high school. I played a ton of sports. I just had other priorities. So it kind of fell by the wayside. But when people talk about where I learned to sell, I definitely think of those auditions and those
Wow.
rooms. But yeah, so that was the first encounter, I would say. And then second encounter with sales was, again, at a young age, straight out of high school. I got a summer gig at a company called AdStar Advertising, which was essentially, it was like a precursor to Groupon, but before the internet was like ruled the universe. So it was like a direct sales methodology, like door to door. We'd have 90% off golf courses, restaurants, spas, you name it. And we'd go out straight cold, calling, knocking on doors, literally whatever you could do to go and sell these packages. And so, I don't know, have you done door-to-door sales before ever?
I did door-to-door sales with a kid that was knocking on my door recently, but no, I mean, like, I did like teleprospecting when I was like 14 at a call center.
Yeah.
I never Boy Scout cookies, and then like my grade school, they do the con things where they're like, if you sell all this garbage to people and you sell $1,000, you get this like toy that's $50, and you're like, this bullshit.
That math doesn't add up.
Yeah, they're like. So I did that door to door as a kid, but not like professionally door to door. But I always respected anyone that could sell door to door, because it's like one of the hardest jobs to do.
It's wild, for sure. It was crazy. And I think the only reason I put up with it for kind of as long as I did was because I just didn't know any better, right? It was like, oh, this is business. This is what people do to make money. And I crushed it, man. That one summer, I like broke all the records, was like the #1 guy in Canada. So come September, like when it was time to go to college, they were like, hey, we're opening an office in Australia. Do you want to come down? Do you want to move to Australia, help us open an office, and you can train all the new sales reps that we have coming? And we're like, we're trying to attract more of you, basically. So come down and help train us up people.
That sounds sick.
Well, at the time, I was 18. I mentioned I played a lot of sports, and my go-to sport growing up was actually rugby. And the rugby culture in Australia is killer, right? It's like,
it's the best.
It's where you want to be. And so
my fiance's best friend like married a famous rugby player. I don't know his last name. I was in his wedding. Like, she was in the wedding, so I had to go. But all the rugby guys came in from Australia. They're professional players, dude.
Wow.
They go hard.
Hard, man. Work hard, play hard culture to the 10th degree, for sure. But yeah, so I had actually gone to Australia the year prior when I was 17 on a rugby tour. And I kind of vowed, I was like, this is where I got to be. I love this place. I love the people. I want to come back. So I weirdly like kind of manifested this thing, man. It was really strange. It was like the first time in my life where I was thinking about this so much that I actually got an opportunity to do it. And so did I take the opportunity? Fuck yeah, I did.
That's awesome, dude.
My parents weren't too happy that I was pushing off college, but at that point, I was a little cocky kid, and there was really no stopping me. So I moved to Australia when I was 18, and just started hustling, man.
Dude, I feel like you got to be fearless to do that at that age. Like, yeah, I'm going to go 18 years old over across the world, not know anyone. And what, open this sales office?
Yeah. That was it. And there was no infrastructure. There was no process. We actually had to go and find an office when
I was about to say, you probably had to because I did this before when I sold my company at 22. I had to go to New York, find an office. Dude, and you were even younger than I was when I did. There's dude, you don't even know any, what is it, P&L? What are expenses?
I didn't know anything. I literally knew nothing. And I think that is the only thing that allowed me to be quote unquote fearless, was the fact I was just so naive. I think that was really what it was. I didn't know, how bad, how wrong things could go. And so I moved there. I didn't even know which neighborhood to go in. So I ended up getting an apartment in the sketchiest, if anyone knows Sydney, Australia, I was living in Parramatta, which if you know Sydney is you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there awesome. Past 5 o'clock. But anyway, so I go down there and I was, responsible for everything. I was responsible. I still had a quota. I had to go out and sell packages. I had to recruit people. I remember going through malls and recruiting people that were selling at Foot Locker who looked awesome, and building this team and then training people and
trying to recruit the other salespeople in the retail malls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. And so anyway, that was an experience and a half.
Was that job, just because I want to highlight a little bit about how you sold there to become number one. Mm-hmm. So what did you do there differently than everyone else to become number one selling door to door? And what was that company called again?
AdStar Advertising.
Okay.
I'd be shocked if they're still around.
This is the early Groupon type of company, you said.
Exactly. Yeah. So what made me different? At this point, I don't know if it was how I was selling. It was how I was thinking about the business. So I didn't take everything as face value, and they would basically be like, hey, you can do whatever you want to sell these things, but here's a territory. It's, based on our assumptions, this is going to be the best territory in this residential neighborhood. Go and, knock on doors for 8 hours and see what you can do. So I took a little bit more of a strategic approach and was like, interesting. I don't really want to go do that for 8 hours. That sounds kind of awful. Why don't I find businesses and office towers that are close by to the golf course or the restaurant or the spa, so that people might actually know this place, and then sneak into these office buildings and do it and try and position it as something cool that they could do with their team, so that if I got someone to buy one, they weren't buying one, they were buying 10. And then that was my whole day's quota in one go. So I could blow out my month if I had a really good day, because I could get an entire office building buying these things. So
smart. So you would go if it's a golf course Groupon or whatever that we'll call a golf course Groupon, you'd find all the businesses right by it, so at least they even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And it was all B2B, right? Not B2C.
It was all B2B. Well, it could be anything. So I took a B2B approach to it, but there was people knocking on doors all day as well. So It was really any way you took it. And me taking the B2B approach was really what made me stand out, I would say. But interesting experience to say the least, man.
I bet. and that success was all from strategic account-based selling by geo, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, basically. I didn't know it was called that when I was doing it, but I definitely was at that young age, I was looking at the different personas of who bought it. I was okay, most of my sales when I was doing the residential stuff came from people in suits or had fancy cars or people who could afford it. So I was okay, that's our ideal customer profile is businessmen and women. So where do they hang out? Well, they hang out in office buildings. And so, yeah, I think I did a little bit of a better job of defining personas and our ideal customer profile, getting the geolocation down, and then making sure that I was in a ICP dense area so I could have as many at bats as possible. I was also, out there longer than anyone else was, for sure. Like, I was out there 10 hours versus most people
4, 5.
Yeah, exactly. It's like very difficult to keep going at that pace when you're doing that kind of sale. So
how'd you get the motivation to like do double the time as the other reps, you think?
It was kind of like I had crossed the river and burned the boats, right? I wasn't going to come home a failure. I had told all my friends, I'm going to Australia to open up this office and become this business mogul. And I'm going against my parents, and they're telling me not to do this. So I think it was a bit of ego or a chip on my shoulder just to kind of prove everyone wrong and make sure that I came back and that it was a successful endeavor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you go to Australia, you got to get the office, you got to recruit the team. You said you were recruiting from Foot Locker and all the mall stores. Dude, one of my first...
Where you get all the talent,
Yeah. I used to sell at Express at the mall, like when I was in high school. I remember that jazz.
Yeah.
And it's all sales. Like the whole mall thing's all sales. So what happens next? Walk me through, like, okay, you get the office, you have to recruit. What happens?
Yeah. So then from there, I start building out a team. We start doing training. There was a lot of turnover, as you can imagine. It was such a demanding job. So it was like hiring, interview, training, because a lot of people couldn't hack it. And I basically did that, like working 7 days a week, 12-hour days every day. Because I would have like 10 hours of like selling, and then I would go home and do like the admin part where I'd have to like screen candidates or follow up with people. So I did that, and I basically, believe it or not, like burnt myself out a little bit at about the 6-month mark when I guess I was 19 now at that point.
And were you making any money? Like, were you making any money, or was it like you're kind of not making any money and it's miserable?
No, I was making money. I was making a lot more money than most people my age were. Again, it's all relative. It's all relative. But like at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I'm rich. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So
at the age of 19.
Yeah. So yeah, there was success there, but ultimately I did that for about 6 months. Missed my family, missed my friends. Had basically had enough of just this endless circle of hiring, recruiting, training, firing, whatever. And so I bounced, came back to Canada where I'm from. And
now, what about living in Australia? Was it freaking awesome or no?
Man, looking back, I wish I could tell my 18-year-old self to like chill out and enjoy more.
Yeah, you just hustled out there.
I hustled. Like we would go out, man, on like Friday and Saturday nights. But I think I was with other work people. Everything we talked about was work, and I got to surf, sometimes, and chill at the beach a few times. But
you're working all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
I own a boat, and I haven't gone out in it in 3 years. It's like what?
Yeah.
My fiance just won't let me sell it. Stupid. Okay, so you're like, I'm out, and it's unfortunate because you didn't really get to enjoy it, probably because you were hustling so hard on building this business, which, dude, I totally relate. I work 7 days a week, and it's tough. It's hard. Okay, walk me through. So what's next? Like, are your parents like, I told you? Like, your friends like, I told you? And by the way, like, I don't believe in the naysayers or listening to them, so I always say, fuck them. Like take risk and shoot for the stars. And if you miss, you did something that 99% of the world wouldn't do anyways. So what was the experience coming back, and what was next?
Yeah. So coming back, I wouldn't say anyone was like, rubbing it in my face or anything. I think most of them were like, oh shit, we thought you were going to come back in 2 weeks. Like that's crazy. And, you know, I had some good stories, but I would say when I came back, I was like a little bit lost. I had kind of built this image in my head. I was like, hey, I'm going to, you know, build this office and we're going to expand everywhere. And I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm, you know, 19. And,
Right.
you know, of course, that's what you do when you're young and you have all this ambition. And so I came back and I was like, like, what's my next move? So, you know, from there it was, I remember I was like landscaping for a little bit one summer. And then I started bartending, which I actually really enjoyed.
I was about to say, bartending, you can make a lot of cash, can't you?
Yeah. You can definitely make good money. But it was definitely, you know, party lifestyle, party all the time, have fun. You know, you're drinking every night, going out every night.
That will give you a toll after a little while.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it kind of like it got to a point where I was like, enough is enough. And then funny enough, I was like serving drinks to this guy at the bar one night. He basically recruited me into another sales job. It was in the travel industry. And this is so funny because I'm mostly known as like the tech SaaS guy, but there's this whole universe that happened before any of this stuff. And I think it's important to showcase it just because it's not always a linear path. And I think it's important, especially younger sellers, to know that. But
yeah.
Anyway,
so this guy recruits me.
Yeah. And it was in the travel industry, and they basically he heard my story and they sold working holiday packages to Australia.
Oh my God.
So it couldn't be more perfect. And so again,
what does that mean? Working holiday packages. What is that?
Between Canada, the UK, and Australia, there is an agreement where before you're 30, you can go and get a year or a 2-year visa where you can go and live and work there. It's just a Commonwealth agreement from like,
it's amazing,
back in the day. So it's really cool. And so what we would do is we would set people up with like job interviews in Australia before they got there. We'd take care of their first few weeks of accommodation, basically help them get on their feet and build a new life for this year or two that they can do it. So it was really cool. And naturally, because I had that story behind me, crushed it again, became number one guy in North America for my first year. I think I still hold the record for the most sales in a day, highly transactional, high volume, hundreds of calls a day.
Who were you prospecting? Who were you selling? And like, how many reps were you competing with?
So there was 15 reps in North America, and then about 20 over in Australia. Now I think it's grown beyond that, but at my time, that was what it was. We were calling into, this was a B2C sell, so highly transactional, calling, you know, people that had expressed interest or like signed
like
up
a
for
lead form.
Yeah, basically a lead form. And we would get hundreds, and you just barrel through them. And like I said, hundreds of calls a day. You were expected to make like basically a sale every single day. And that was like getting their credit card like over the phone, yeah. which is crazy. And
this sounds like Seamless.AI. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, my guys are doing the same thing. So, and how much was it? Like, if I wanted to, I fill out a blog, you call me. Yeah. How much is this sale?
All in, probably $4,500.
Oh shit! Like, that's a high ticket call close.
High ticket. Well, we broke it into like you basically get a deposit from them, and then the deposit was like $500, and then that deposit like locked them in, and then they went to the travel section. But all in, it was $4,500, the package they were signing up for. So
wow, interesting.
Yeah, straight boiler room status, man. It was like go. Drank 15 Red Bulls a day kind of environment. And yeah, I went from within like, I blew all these records up, and like many organizations.
So what was the trick? Like, okay, so you get all these leads. Like, how did you do it?
Storytelling, man. Storytelling. So this is when I learned the power of storytelling, and I was lucky that I had a damn good story.
Because you were already there.
I was there. It was like, and this will lead me to like part of kind of my number one secret. And this is when I learned like how nowadays it's like you have to be an expert in the field. But in this scenario, being an expert was like living it and living that person. Like I just embodied what these people were looking for at the time, right? I would tell really specific stories of like surfing and being on the beach.
Oh
and like
man, that sounds
this,
awesome.
right? Yeah. So it took me far. So that was, I think, what separated me from the pack was storytelling. I never focused on, the nitty gritty of like the package or the travel details. It was just painting this picture for them of their new life, in Australia. So,
Damn, that's amazing. So you crush it by leveraging the art of storytelling and how you lived there.
Yeah.
Like, was it an easy, like, how would you open it if you can even remember? Was it like just like, hey John,
it was so hard, man. It was so hard. I was probably a better seller then than I am now. We used to like a lot of spin tactics, like for sure. Like it was lots of spin selling, lots of open-ended questions. Like objections weren't even a thing. We would just like blow right by them and just be like, awesome, man. But like, let's talk about lying on the beach, with beautiful girls around you and you've got a beer in your hand kind of thing. So it was difficult. It was extremely difficult. And how I would open the conversation.
Like if you can remember, I'm just curious. Yeah. Like, do you use like a soft approach, a hard approach? Like,
It was definitely softer to begin with, and then kind of like got them a little warmed up, and then it was a harder to
close. Yeah.
It's funny.
Awesome.
I should maybe. I bet I have that script that I wrote way back in the day. I'll try and wrestle that up one time.
Somewhere.
Throw that on.
That's awesome, man.
But,
so, what made you? How long was that? What made you decide to leave that and do the next thing?
Yeah. So that was almost a year and a half, and I went from a sales rep to a team lead to the manager, the sales manager. And then by the time I left, I was the GM of the whole, North American office over here by the age of 21. And I had no idea what I was doing.
And you still didn't have a college education, right? Like you're like doing these things, which I love, by the way, because like a bunch of my reps, they're asking me like about getting the MBA. And I'm like, dude, we're building the next Salesforce.com, $1 billion company, and you're asking me about an MBA. Like, I have my
your MBA.
I have my MBA, and I'm just telling you, like go watch the interview with Reid Hoffman and see how this guy never none of that shit matters. So I just love that you're a great example of like you just got to learn and hustle, and if you work hard to learn on the job, you could do anything.
Exactly. And we'll get to the business school chapter in a little bit here. But
okay. Keep going.
And it was a short stint. Don't get it twisted. But I basically, I went, and I'm literally like not just running the sales team, but like we had our flight people that were doing the flights. We had like small marketing team. We had like finance, and I'm just like trying to figure out how this all is operating. We had very little software. I had like 18 million Excel sheets for everything. And it was one of the best learning experiences for exactly what you said. It's like, it built this confidence in me that you can just throw yourself in and learn, right? Like I would get home from work at like 8 p.m. and be like, okay, well, I don't know how to do this, but I have the internet and it's all on there. Anything I've ever wanted to know ever is there. So let's watch some YouTube tutorials on how to build a finance spreadsheet that makes sense. And if we get audited, we're not fucked. And so.
Or you could buy the books. Like you guys just wrote a book. I'm writing books. Exactly. Something that you want to learn. Someone's probably written 1,000 books, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos on.
That's the other thing. I've been a voracious reader since I can remember, and it switched to business books when I was probably 19. And it's cheat mode. You get to learn from the best and the greatest, and you get to basically simulate your next steps through their their trials and tribulations that they tell you about. Like that's,
And I mean, I know you just wrote a book, like, and I'm working on 12 this year to hopefully release. Like,
nice.
I
Just
literally,
a casual 12.
yeah, dude. I mean, you got to have big goals. Like,
I love it.
I don't know about you, but like for me, I like try to give my best secret strategies, tips. Like you don't write a book to not like give everything you know, the top shit in it.
Yeah.
And like that's why I think reading from the experts is so critical, because like they're gonna try to give you the best of the best, and or else it won't educate, it won't sell, all of that jazz. Yeah. Like, is that what happened with your book that you guys just did at Outreach?
Exactly. Yeah. We just wrote it's going to be the new Bible on sales engagement. And it's exactly what you said. It's all of us synthesizing our knowledge into like the best components and sharing it out with the world. So you get to, my particular chapter is, if you're a first-time manager or first time building out a sales technology stack, I remember, all the challenges I faced when I was first doing that and like what I should think about. And that was what my chapter was on. And you read that chapter, you can bypass, the 9 months of struggle that I had going through all these things. So it's just, it helps you just speed up things. But
So, okay, walk me through, you're at the travel relocation, Australia gig. Yeah. What made you decide to be like, all right, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to
move. Yeah. So I was young. I was 21. I felt like I hit my ceiling at 21, which is crazy. So I never wanted, I hated that. I hate that all through my career. If I feel like I'm not like learning and growing, like I'll get really antsy. And at that point, it was kind of, my decision almost was like, again, almost like the universe being like, all right, man, it's time to move. My boss had come back from the UK. He had tried to open an office over there and basically had failed. And he came back and we had the most successful office. And he basically wanted to demote me and get his like job back. And then I would be like back to like sales manager. I was like, nah, man, like that's not going to fly. Like if that's how you want to play this, like I'm out of here. And he thought I was bluffing, and I wasn't bluffing. And I left the next day and then reevaluated some things and started looking at tech, because I had some friends in tech, and I was like, I think that's like the Super Bowl of sales. Like I think that's where the real players are going. And I think there's no really ceiling there, or it's going to be really difficult to hit that ceiling. So let's see if we can play in that world. But at the same time, in the back of my head, as we're all, accustomed to since we're very young kids, it's like, I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to go to business school. Like that's what people do. That's what you're told to do. So
did that create any insecurity, by the way? Like,
yeah, I think a little, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what this nagging in my head was. I think that was all insecurity.
Like when I was pitching VCs, they're like, you're not a computer scientist. You don't have an engineering background. You're not in Silicon Valley. You're going to fail. And like I had all this insecurity. Yeah. I feel like skipping school and just grinding and hustling, like you could have that only because society creates these bullshit norms that they put onto people.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that insecurity is what made me, so ultimately I made the decision. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to university, and man, sat through some classes, and it was the worst feeling. I felt boring. Yeah. Well, I felt like I had already seen behind the curtain already. Right. So it was really tough to talk about theory when all I wanted to do was like the practical side. I was like, okay, like what is this in practice? Like, what are we teaching people here? And so I was kind of antsy, and I was chomping at the bit to get out of there in the real world and kind of make some things happen. So I decided to drop out and start my own business. And
it's awesome, man.
It was funny. And looking back, it's such a simple thing. What was the biggest problem that was in front of me in college, funnily enough, was laundry. Everyone hated doing laundry. So me and my buddy decided to start a company called Dorm VIP, which was a subscription laundry service for college kids, where we pick up their laundry every week.
Sounds amazing.
We would drop it off with some like Gatorade and some like snacks.
Beer. Yes. You probably couldn't do the alcohol, but I would have paid extra for that. Laundry and beer.
Yeah. laundry. So we did like laundry and hangover stuff. So we're like Gatorade and like all the things you crave when you're hungover.
So smart.
It's a Sunday.
I was always the guy that wanted to automate everything in college, and still now.
Yeah.
So, dude, I love that idea.
It was awesome, man. We had a blast, and I was a sales guy, so signing kids up for that was easy, man.
What sales guy doesn't want to do not sales guy. Every college person in the world doesn't want to do laundry.
Yeah, it's funny now.
Now, did they have budget though? Like that would be probably the only objection. I don't have any money.
Yeah, so we started up our first one. We definitely took that into account. And there's a rich school here in Vancouver called UBC, where most of them are foreigners that have their parents paying for their education. So,
awesome.
What is another, $25 a week to like get your kid taken care of? Nothing. So we, signed up a ton of people. It was a lot of fun. Like did the whole marketing thing, made a bunch of funny videos that went like viral, and had a lot of fun. And then basically did that for 9 months. And the logistics were a nightmare. Like it sounds great. It's amazing. But there was literally times when me and my co-founder were doing laundry for 12 hours because the hotels that we had worked out deals with wouldn't come through that week. And
so what was the original plan? So like you sell the package to get the laundry, then who the hell does it?
So we had people to go, we would give them bags, and then we would put them out front we'd give them to them, and then they would fill them up, put them out front on Saturday morning, and then we had a team go and pick them all up. They would then come in, and if we hit a certain weight threshold, we had deals with hotels where we could use their facilities. And then they would do it all and fold it all, everything, put it back, and it was perfect. The issue was because they already have those facilities. They already do that for guests. So we would pay them, and it was a no-brainer for them.
That sounds amazing. That's just like a distribution play then.
Yeah, exactly. But it didn't make sense for them if we weren't paying them a certain amount. And for that certain amount, we had to get a certain weight. And so if we fell below that weight, that's when we'd have to literally do it at a laundromat, and it would destroy our margins completely. It was a nightmare. And so we ended up selling that company, barely making our money back. But again,
yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
As you know, all of it. But you learn quick.
A ton, man. And that was, I think, my learning from that one was learning how to like market and make things like viral and make cool videos and content that people like to consume. So that ridiculous journey that we just discussed brought me into tech. So that the next thing, I still had tech in my head, and in my mind, I was going to go, after we sold this, I was going to go be a sales manager at a tech company. But lo and behold, the industry transfer wasn't there. Like, so I couldn't really get a sales manager job in tech. They were like, you can be a BDR if you want to be. And I was like, super big hit to my ego at the time. I was like, man, I've managed 16 people. I've built this company. I've done all these like things. I have to start at like entry level. And it was really because it wasn't transferable, right? A lot of that was like B2C, more transactional. Whereas, these jobs that I was doing, it was like a much bigger deal size. I hadn't really learned tech. I hadn't been around software that much. So basically ended up working at a company called Payfirma. I put my ego aside, took a job as a BDR, which at the time I was like, this is such a huge step back. But I look back now and it was literally the best thing I've ever done in my career. I got in there and blew my number out of the water. I was like, all I have to do, I don't have to get people's credit cards. All I have to do is like get someone interested.
You're like, I just have to book an appointment. I don't have to do I don't have to close someone on a $4,500 cold call.
Yeah, I actually didn't believe it, man. I remember my first day, I was like, what? And so in all honesty, I think that was like one of the easiest jobs I've ever had in my life. And the other team of 6 people, some of them have been there for a year, like we're banging their heads against the wall. And we're just kind of approaching it wrong. Again, I got really creative in that role. It was a fintech company, and we were selling like a financial platform. And so instead of just calling the lead list I was given, I like took a step back, got strategic with it, and was like, okay, well, who needs financial services the most? Well, it's going to be new businesses. So I knew you can go online and get a new business registry for every single city in
smart.
Canada, in the States. And so I would just bang that out. And it was my secret weapon. And I ended up having the most opportunities created in my first month on the job out of all of the team that had been there like way longer. That got the attention of the VP of sales there, a man by the name of Dave Kennett, who's sold a company to Apple. He's a boss. And yeah.
Wow. Apple. Damn.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. He's one of the best sales leaders I know. I still keep in touch with him today. He's still a close friend. And he was at the time trying to build out their kind of ISO channel partner program.
And it sounds like that secret there, it goes back to the strategic account-based list building and targeting almost.
Yeah. It's like
were you doing it?
I can, you know, I can have a sales conversation, but I think when I look at what was really successful, it just wasn't taking the process that I was given at face value and thinking there may be a better way that we can do this. And, you know, that came from not clocking in from 9 to 5 and doing my job. It was, I would go home and think about, hey, how can we improve on this? How can I make my day more productive next week? And what are the, 1% things that I can do to increase my chances of getting meetings?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you lock in those opportunities pretty quickly with the new business registrar. I love that. Thinking about, okay, like at the core, who needs this the most at when they sign up? So you said the guy that sold his company to Apple, he was running the partner channel program or ISO?
He was the VP of sales. So he was running the sales team, but simultaneously he kind of had this pet project to build out the ISO channel and partner program. So he actually gave me a promotion after a month, and I got to work directly under him to still in like a business development role. I was still setting meetings, but I was setting meetings with C-level executives who were wanting to partner with our company. So it was a much different conversation.
It's awesome.
And this accelerated my learning like tenfold. He let me sit in on all his meetings, and I got to really understand how to have an executive level conversation, what these people cared about. And, from
that's
there,
another micro secret too, right there for salespeople out there. Like I remember sitting on these executive meetings with like the founders of IBM Interactive.
Yeah.
And you're just like, they're having like $100 million pitches and meetings. Like probably like you, these big, like you learned so much in just one of those 30 to 60 minute meetings as a salesperson that fast track your development on like how they talk to people, how they analyze, how they pitch, how they close. That's definitely a micro secret. Sit in on those executive meetings as a salesperson wherever you can.
Yeah. And that's definitely one. And the other one there is that was the first time, one of the first times, because like before this, I was young. I thought I knew everything. This was the first time that I was like, oh man, like mentors are really, really, really important. So from this point on in my career, I like tripled down on mentors. Tried to sit in on everything that I possibly could. Like you said, he would actually even let me listen to like recordings of his calls when I missed them or couldn't.
I love those. I record everything.
A lot of sales leaders wouldn't do that, right? They're kind of like weirdly like, no, this is like he was like, yeah, go for it. Like listen to everything.
It's the fastest way to learn. Like record what you do and give it to your reps. Another micro secret.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I record every call, every demo, and now I'm trying to live stream it on LinkedIn once I get access.
Let's do it. LinkedIn Live. Let's get this guy set up. Let's make it happen. I know.
That's awesome.
I was hoping to have it before Unleash, but anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know like how it's gonna work or whatever, but shit, I'm dying for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool, man.
Okay, cool. So how do you get over to So you leave the financial thing and go to, which is my most experience. You get into like digital marketing at Media Valley, right? Or
Kind
digital
of.
assets.
So it was digital asset management. It was a SaaS company out of Vancouver. That was a big kind of turning point in my career. I was given the opportunity from them to build out their business development program from scratch. So this was really cool because like I had experience building out teams. I saw what was working at this fintech company, what was broken, what to look for in hires, what tech we needed. So they put a lot of faith in me to build the process, bring in the technology, hire the team, everything.
And that sounds like more like your background, like based on everything that you've done throughout your career, like having the freedom to just go and build and make shit happen and be held highly accountable.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, I would make shit happen would probably be the motto, is just go and do it. And if it fails, it's on me. If we crush it, it's also on me. And I'm confident in my ability that I can deal with either outcome. So, and luckily
awesome.
it's been the former more likely than the latter. So, so I got in there and I'll kind of speed this up because it's just kind of dragging on, and we'll get to where I'm at now and some tips. But hired a team of 4 there. We again blew all our numbers out of the water. We were driving millions and millions of dollars in pipeline towards the sales team. We brought in sales engagement tools. We brought in video tools before anyone was doing video. We had call recordings that we were like coaching on. A lot of these stuff that it's table stakes now, but 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, it wasn't. And it really made a difference for our results. And the things that we were doing was driving innovation throughout the entire company. And even like our whole sales team, their kind of playbook completely changed when they saw what we were doing. And simultaneously at that time, I started seeing the power of LinkedIn and building a personal brand. So I started creating content for sales professionals, just documenting the stuff I was doing, micro promotions for BDRs, video prospecting.
What was the best prospecting channels? Like if you had to rank them when you were at Media Valley for you guys, like was video number one? Like what was number one?
Man, I had this 1-2 punch cadence that was the best, man. I think they still use it and still crush it.
Okay. So what is it?
We would send an email first. So first email. And it's hard to explain. Maybe if we can include a template or something, but it's basically, it's in an email, but you're scripting out, you're transcribing how a cold call would go. So it's like, and you can pull their name, right? Because you've got an engagement tool, so dynamic field. So you've got their name and they'll say hello. And then it'll be your name. And you're like, hey, it's Scott calling from Media Valley. How's it going? And then their name. And they're like, ugh, like, good. Like, why are you calling me? And then you and be like, I know no one likes a cold call, but, here's why I'm calling you and blah, blah. And you basically go and you kind of poke fun of yourself of like doing a cold call. And the title was No One Likes a Cold Call. And it would but you could interweave your whole value prop throughout the email. And it was this funny interaction back and forth. And so we got a lot of people in that first email responding, be like, this is hilarious.
It's awesome.
What's up? Like, this is a need or this is not a need. It would get a yes or no. But if they didn't respond, then we'd follow up with a video and it'd be like, hey, I got tired of talking to myself, on that email. So what's up? My name is, Scott. I'm the guy who sent you the goofy email. Here's why I thought it was perfect for me to reach out. So a little bit of humor, a little bit of something most people hadn't seen, and just a way to uniquely stick out and showcase your value prop in like a very almost like non-combative environment because their guard is down. And so they'll actually read it and not put on.
So it was like was it a longer long form text email?
There was probably like, and these were just like one-liners, right? It looked like a conversation. So it was super simple to read. That's awesome. And it was probably only like, I don't know, like 8 back and forth. So it wasn't that. It was like, you could read it on your phone easily,
Awesome.
And
then you do the video after and the 1-2 punch.
The 1-2 punch. And then followed up with a phone call. Of course, we were like heavy on the phones. My guys were making, minimum 50, 60 calls every day. We kept that up, kept busy. And
how many people were you adding to the funnel every day at Media Valley?
Every day, like net new leads, like from our data source or whatever. Probably a piece like 200 each. Like we were burning through them because we were basically, those were like cold, like those, like inbounds, obviously
like cold leads flying through.
We were like, and we tried a few different things, but we were flying through them. We probably weren't doing complete best practices.
Was it hard to do the videos for all those people? Like, I feel like that'd be hard.
Not everyone got a video. Not everyone.
That makes sense.
Would mean we would like tier out the approach. So those would be like the tier 1 accounts that we had some reason for reaching out for them. And sometimes that was just like, we were really hot in that industry kind of thing.
That's awesome. And then, the top secrets there that you learned from, successes, failures, secrets that helped you level up to where you're at today. So what would you say those are from the Media Valley experience?
I think that was, and I don't know if this is a secret, but like that, I spent a lot of time consuming content, like podcasts like this, right? Like people are out there giving up their secrets. Like I'm sure I stole that. I know I did. I think it was the HubSpot blog that transcribe email, right? Like those things just like come from a brain. Like
you see something, and it was so funny. I just saw an email like that was posted by The Hustle. Yeah. Like I guess if you sign up for The Hustle's newsletter, they're like, Gary did this. He did a push-up, and Scott kissed this girl on the street because you signed up for their newsletter, like all this crazy shit. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, I got to copy that for when people sign up for our free software. Exactly. Just to like show the you could use all those ideas and customize them. Yeah.
So like the Pablo Picasso model, which is like, what is this quote? Great artists copy, and the best ones steal, or something like that. I'm butchering that, but something along those lines. Just there's so many people doing incredible things now with social media. Just go out there, start networking, start getting in touch with people, like reach out to them on LinkedIn and be like, hey, what's up, man? You guys, you're doing some really cool stuff. Can I, put 10 minutes on your calendar just strictly to talk, prospecting tips or whatever. And that was insanely helpful for my growth and my time there.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So and you also said using sales technologies. You were using the advanced sales technologies, especially for a startup, dude. Yeah. Like we're not even using some of that stuff here, and we need to be. Like it sounds like you guys were using the sales tech, going all in on consuming the content, which was awesome.
Definitely, we couldn't have done anything we did without the sales tech. That was like the backbone. It was obviously goes people, process, technology, but the technology really enabled everything to just go much faster. We were able to ramp up everything. Like, you need your CRM, you need a sales engagement tool like Outreach, you need, obviously a data source, like Seamless. You're going to need, for me, it was video, like a Vidyard.
Love that.
Conversational intelligence.
My outreach guys that work here now at Seamless from Outreach, they fucking love video and they crush it on video.
Yeah. It's just, again, it's not a silver bullet, but it's just another channel and some people like to consume materials that way. So
yeah, I love it. So what made you decide, to leave there to join Outreach?
Yeah, that was a tough decision, actually. So like I loved it there. I still have very fond memory. We were like living the dream, and I hired they were basically 3 of my very close friends. They happen to all be in like sales too, and we were just absolutely crushing it. And I got asked, because I guess people got wind of some of the cool things we were doing through the prospecting and the funny prospecting we were doing, to jump on a Sales Hacker webinar on how to build a best-in-class BDR team while I was still at Media Valley. And I kind of through that started building a relationship with their VP of marketing, Gaetano Donardi, shout out Gaetano. And I had no intention really of going anywhere, because I was loved what I was doing. But a few months later, I saw that they were looking for a head of partnerships, and it really just like, I don't know, it compelled me big time. I had been following their content like
badass content, dude. Max and the crew, dude.
Yeah.
Top fire straight.
Yeah.
Sales content,
so like,
man.
Like it was so valuable to me. Like I said, like consuming that content was so integral in me being successful. And it was like hitting refresh on the Sales Hacker blog like every day and seeing like, hey, what else can I steal from these people that are out there killing it? And so I knew I was like a relationship builder. That's what I'm good at. And so I knew that I could go in there and like have a big impact. And the only issue was 300 people also thought that they fit that bill. So I threw my hat in the ring, and there was literally 300 people from, enterprise reps from Salesforce, from DocuSign, from like the big tier 1 tech companies with the fancy education and the whole nine. And the reason I think I got that job was like tenacity. I just worked it like a sales process, right? Like I went above and beyond. I got internal champions. I used my connection with the VP of marketing. I reached out to the guy who was in the role. I, created a video for Max, make him like see me as a person, not just another candidate. And then as we went down, I created like a mock webinar with some of my old VPs of sales, like why they should hire me, and like use their template, hired a graphic designer out of my own pocket. And like there was like no way he could not hire me. I feel like looking back.
Dude, you 10x that interview.
Yeah, I went hard on that one. I was like DMing Max's Instagram. I went hard, man, because I knew I could get in there and have a big impact. I knew it would help, be a launching pad in my career. And
micro secret, the tenacity and the resiliency and just the like go all out, don't give up attitude right there.
And also, here's another one that I think I missed at Media Valet, and it kind of applies here too, is investing in yourself. Don't pay money if it's going to make you get what you want. Like at Media Valet, I bought my own sales nav license and stuff when they wouldn't give me budget, and then started crushing it. And then started crushing it. And then I was like, now is this enough of a business case for you? Like I've done it. Now let's do it. So doing that, and then in the same thing with like this job interview, I knew I wanted the job, so I hired a graphic designer for $250 or whatever to help me build out a deck that looked professional. And so invest in yourself. But yeah, that was how I ended up at Sales Hacker. Obviously, that was just the beginning, really, and I knew they had this fantastic brand. People loved them. But at that time, their model was primarily around throwing like big conferences.
Yeah, big events.
And conferences are risky. They're work intensive.
Dude, I remember when I launched Seamless, Max was just like launching Sales Hacker events. And I was actually like one of the licensed people to host the event in Columbus, Ohio. Nice. And like when he was creating this franchise model.
Yeah.
Oh man, keep going though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Max, again, shout out Max. He's like, done so much.
Yeah, and we interviewed Max on the show too. His interview was great.
Oh, he's the man. So he tried a few different business models, right? He had the conference, he had the franchise.
You got to try anything, right?
Yeah. And so my job was to figure out how to kind of package and sell our digital offerings, which were like, it's just so much more scalable. Repeatable,
I was about to say so much more scalable, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it would take the risk out of like forking up big money to like buy out a massive, arena or whatever. But, got in there. There was like, this was new. So there was no material on this, no case studies. We were basically starting from scratch on this side of the business. So my learnings, my secrets from here is just unbelievable extreme ownership. You don't have a case study, go fucking build it.
I love that.
I would go and in Canva, and I taught myself Canva, and I'd be like, hey, Gaetano, like, do we have some stories? Do we have some quotes? Like anything? I don't know. I think there's a quote there. And because we had a marketing team, but they were focused on building the community and creating that content. So they didn't really have time to get like enablement material for me. But it was my job to bring in business, and that's what I needed to do my job. So I went out there, built all my own material. Anytime we had an event or a new thing, would just build it myself. I got all the
I love that, man. The extreme ownership of just like, don't make fucking excuses, dude.
Yeah. And it was selfish. It was for me. It was so I could hit my number. I needed these things to hit my number. So why is it on anyone else?
So many salespeople make these excuses of like why they can't do something. Oh, I tried the number and couldn't get through, or oh, I couldn't find them, or oh yeah, I'm losing deals because I don't have case studies. You're like, fucking make them. Like, make them,
man.
Go call hundreds of our customers and create case studies in Canva.
Yeah,
I love that extreme ownership.
Yeah. So with that, so when you join there was only like 8 of us. So when, as you know, you join a startup, there's no ramp time. That's a luxury that big companies
you start immediately.
It's like you have got a quota from day one. And it took me probably about 2 months because I was like building the process. I brought in some more technology to help me, was building these case studies, building these materials. It took me about 2 months to get my feet under me. And that was tough because that was like the first time I remember in a long time, like not hitting my goal. So some self-doubt creeps in there. But, by month 3, things started clicking, and, I blew my number out of the water in month 3. And then it just started snowballing from there. We did a lot of great things on social. We started really broadcasting a lot of our wins with some of these really big companies. Brought on outreach in my 4th month.
Awesome.
Signed them as a partner, which ended up.
And what were you selling? So like for the digital stuff, what were you selling? And like at what price points?
So there was multiple deals that were over 6 figures. We were basically acting as a demand gen, or like we're a plug and play CMO is what we were. It's like if you have a small team and don't have a marketing engine that kicks ass, well, Sales Hacker can act as that marketing engine. So we can put together a series of blog posts that are going to help you raise brand awareness for the category. We can, get you on the podcast so you're perceived as a thought leader. And then we can do things like webinars, which will have 100+ people that are all talking about something in your vein. Of course, it's educational, it's thought leadership, but it can be something around your technology. And those are all perfect leads for you. So they were basically like it was services. So it was basically like marketing campaigns. And so they were ongoing partnerships throughout the year of a series of different digital and then sometimes events baked in as well. I would say the average deal size was anywhere between 15 and 20K.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then
it's a higher ticket price point. I mean, dude, you sell a lot of those, you make a lot of money.
Yeah, totally.
And you don't need to run a conference to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So last year, like I was able to sell like $2 million worth of sponsorships, man, and blow our previous year 2x our previous year. Awesome, with a lot less risk for sure. And of course, the ultimate happy ending was when I was sitting in Portugal, and I had just sold like 100. I was on like a high. I just sold like 100K that week while I was on vacation. I was like, this is the best. And I get a phone call from Max, and he's just like, we just got acquired by Outreach. Get ready for a crazy ride. And a crazy ride it has been for sure.
Dude, that's amazing. And, I've been an Outreach customer from the beginning. I think the product's fucking amazing. Yeah. Team's amazing. Manny, Andrew, everyone over there. Mark.
Mark's a G.
I like Mark because we're both from the Midwest, PA and Ohio, dude. Just straight hustling here. And, tell me anything because we got to get into your secret, but what's been the craziest thing with the Outreach, like, acquisition?
Craziest thing. Acquisitions are difficult, man. Like I've never been through one. So it's just like the first, not difficult, just like kind of confusing, right? Everyone's trying to find like where they fit in and like what role are you going to take on? Who are the players at the company? Like who are the people that actually get things done? And like, I don't know, it's been super interesting. Just so many amazing people to learn from too. I think it's the first time, as you can kind of hear in my story, it's been like a lot of figuring shit out on the fly on my own. Whereas this, it's so cool to have all these amazing, amazing leaders in sales and marketing who have all these years of experience and who are willing to teach you if you want to listen. So that's
awesome.
been really, really cool. And obviously getting to put my stamp on our upcoming Unleash conference and able to own a project like this magnitude right out of the gate was really cool. And being able to 10x our number in sponsorship revenue from last year is pretty cool, man. So
That's
excited.
amazing, man. So,
Yeah.
All right, now we're at the end of the show, which is the most important part.
Yeah.
Sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Scott, if you had to go back in time to when you first started in sales, what is your top secret to maximize sales results? And we're going to cover the what, the why, and the how so the audience can immediately implement it today.
Yeah. So, okay. How do I articulate this the best way? So when I'm selling, and this is, thanks for bearing with me with that crazy story. So I've had a lot of different.
Oh, dude, I love it. There's a lot to learn from, dude. I mean, your account-based strategy, like I feel like was a big win for a lot of your wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you didn't do that really targeted account-based mapping and list building, like you may have not been as successful. So that's interesting, and a lot of other secrets that you shared. So go ahead.
So for me, so when I'm selling, I want people to get as much value or more value from me, Scott Barker, like the human being, as they would the product or the service that I'm selling. Like by the end of that interaction, I want them to feel basically comfortable, like paying me whatever the yearly fee is for the product or service, just to keep me as their like trusted advisor, their consultant, their expert in that field, or open up my network or whatever it is. And I want them to see almost more value in that than what it is. And like the product or the service just happens to be, the cherry on top. It's just the bonus, that comes with it. And how do you do that? And how do you get people thinking like that? You got to be the expert. That's key. My thing was like, yes, I've consumed so much sales content, but if you're reading sales books before you've read every piece of literature on your technology, your solution, the problem that you're solving, you're thinking about it all wrong.
Yeah. The personas, all of that.
You need to know, you need to be an expert in your interest, in your industry before you worry about these small tweaks to your process. If you sell into small businesses, go learn how to start a business. If you sell into event marketers, throw an event. If you sell into mechanics, go listen to Mechanics 101 podcast, because that should be the stuff you're consuming as much as honing your craft. Until you're a walking Wikipedia, then you can start looking at these little things. Because if you don't, it's like, those guys that turbocharge or put NOS on their like Honda Accord. You've got no substance. You're not of value. You're just someone who's read Spin or Challenger Sale and thinks he knows the drill. I don't, in my opinion, as you graduate in sales and the deal sizes get bigger and the relationships are longer, playing that long game is what it's all about. And that's how you become a trusted advisor versus, just someone who's out there that can sell.
Selling a widget.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your expertise, like learn as much as possible and become that trusted advisor, deliver as much value as possible to your prospects and customers so that not only do they want to buy the product, but they want to buy it even faster or quicker, like with urgency, because they get you like that value added expert to support their growth.
Yeah, exactly. So like for me, I've sold into marketing for 3.5 years. So I've become a really, really good marketer who they can bounce ideas off. Like that's probably the calls that I get most excited about now is it's not the like, oh, sweet, we just closed a 6-figure deal. It's when one of my partners will call me and be like, hey, Scott, we got this like marketing campaign idea internally. I want to get your thought and your feedback on it. There's no transaction. There's nothing other than, that shows that they perceive me as someone of unbelievable value to their business. So whatever it is down the line, if I'm selling whatever, they know that, I will be able to help their business get to that next level.
I love that. And what are some strategies for the audience? Because it's when people say like, you got to become a trusted advisor, you got to become an expert.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to execute and implement, right? So so for anyone listening, what are like the top steps to do that right now?
Yeah. So one of the ways which I used to do was whoever you sell into, let's say you sell into marketing, or let's say you sell into finance.
Yeah. So you sell into marketing and I sell into sales. So let's talk about both of those. Like,
perfect. So you have a VP of sales is the easiest one, but let's go VP of marketing. You have a VP of marketing at your organization. If you sell into them, go become their best friend. You're the new person who buys them coffee every Monday and talk about their pain and their challenges and the things that they care about on a day-to-day. If you're selling it to salespeople, you should know this pretty through and through, right? Like go talk to your boss basically and just be like, what is the biggest issue that you're going through right now? Same with finance people. Like if you sell into finance, go to your CFO and talk to them. And so I think that's one way. And then another is just consume the content that your persona would be consuming, not what you want to consume. If that makes sense. If it's a content marketer, go start reading the Content Marketing Institute's,
got
blog.
it. Yeah, CMI, Jill Paluzzi.
Yeah,
he's great.
Yeah, because then that's
from Ohio too, man.
There you go, Midwest, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere, dude.
So that's what I would say is just consuming the content or get in front of, immerse yourself in their world. So don't get stuck in this sales strategy world too much. Get stuck into their world, whoever you're selling into, and then from there you can make tweaks as you become an expert over there.
And then is it just like publishing content, publishing strategies, or like what's the play?
So the play there is just to immerse yourself in their world so that you can have a better conversation when you're having those sales conversations.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, that was great, dude. Become a trusted expert and advisor. It's going to take a lot of work. You said like you got to like go where they go, treat them, pick their brain, get their advice. And when you ask for advice, you get money. When you ask for money, you get advice. That was a big venture capital educational moment for me. And then, that way when you're in the pitches, it sounds like from you, Scott, that you could speak their language. You could offer ideas, strategies, and content of value to help them accomplish their goals and dreams. And then you become the trusted advisor.
Yeah. I would say, just kind of sum it up if I can, so you have to be an expert. So immerse yourself in their world. Remember that careers are long. You got to play the long game with people sometimes. Don't always put the sale before your relationship. Relationships come number one. Learn how to, if that's an issue, learn how to sell your boss into, saying that it's okay. It doesn't close this quarter because it's going to come. I just don't want to burn a bridge. Obviously leveraging your network, the bigger you can build your network and make intros, send hiring candidates your prospects way before they ever ask you. Again, that helps them perceive you, the person, as valuable and not just your product and service. And then I guess the last one would be, I just believe in business karma. So let's the nice guys finish last type of thing is a complete and utter fallacy. So just be a good human.
Have integrity, do the right thing.
Exactly, man. Throughout history, it's really cooperation that got us out of, the cave and the dark ages, is being able to cooperate. So how do you cooperate? It's in your ability to see someone else's side and adjust accordingly. And just be a good person.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, I know the audience and I, we truly appreciate you, man, for sharing your top sales secrets to sales success here. Where can the audience connect, learn, subscribe to you and everything you're doing for more?
Yeah, man. So I'm big on LinkedIn, Scott Barker. Throw me a connection request. I will accept. So throw it my way. Obviously, Sales Hacker, subscribe to the blog, saleshacker.com. Check out Outreach if you haven't. And if you're lucky enough to have a ticket to Unleash, come find me because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott, again for your time today. And thank you, audience, for joining us for this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. You can listen to the podcast, the videos at secretsalesbook.com, on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and you can buy the book at secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you next time.